The thing is, if you're not found for those discovery pieces, and you're not grounding the information that the AI assistant can give to the consumer to help them realize that they actually do want something like what you offer, they want specifically what you offer, you're going to be invisible and your competitor will pick up your business.
Navah Hopkins, welcome back to the podcast.
Matt, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited. You have the best conversations with your guests, and the fact that you wanted me back, I'm so excited.
That's very kind. Yes, it's great to have you. I know the first episode we did together, coming up on 9 months ago, we actually covered confronting fears in paid search in that episode. I think what we did our best to do was remove some of the hype out of what was going on in the industry and sort of give people a sort of grounding or foundational things to think about that are important as we move into this new world. We're still in the middle of that transition, it feels, but I think it's safe to say that AI in general, we have a better idea of where it slots into the workflow. It's more complementary to the things we do. It's less about direct replacement. So hopefully people are feeling more confident and less uneasy about it. That's a nice segue into what we're going to talk about today, which is a big part of your new role since we last spoke, which is ad liaison at Microsoft.
Copilot, yeah.
Yes, Copilot, yes. Talking a lot about Copilot. We're going to talk about, first of all, what Copilot is, for anyone who doesn't know, sort of high level, and then talk about what that means for marketers from a workflow perspective, and then go all the way into like the Microsoft Ads platform and how people can use it in there as well. So super excited. Let's just dive in. For those who don't know what Copilot is, what is Copilot?
So I'm going to begin with what Copilot is not. Copilot is not a skin for ChatGPT. Copilot is actually two separate sort of AI systems. There's the Copilot that you'd go to copilot.com, and that is what we call consumer Copilot, i.e. you're talking to your personal Copilot. It learns what your preferences are. It's got all of the various models. And then we have our enterprise Copilot, or the Copilot that lives within Microsoft 365. That Copilot will only use your data to work with your solutions. So when we think about M365 Copilot, that's where security really comes in. Microsoft's really strict security principles. Security is our number one beating heart principle. And so Microsoft 365 Copilot is the enterprise suite sort of security system AI. Copilot.com is your everyday buddy. AI is in service to humanity, and Copilot is here to be a useful resource. It is designed to honor accessibility because different humans process information in different ways and get value out of different sorts of information being presented in different ways. And Copilot really tries to lean into, or the design of Copilot really tries to lean into honoring those different accessibility principles, leaning into trust so that you have transparency into how information is coming to you. And then, of course, with our Bing Webmaster Report showing AI citations, Microsoft Clarity showing how often AI bots are crawling, you're able to understand how is your content being used and cited within that Copilot universe. So Copilot is just a really useful way to interface with lots of different resources, compartmentalized and packaged for you in a way that you'll have an easier time processing.
Got it. Okay. I'd love to dive a little bit more into those resources and what that looks like.
Fun fact, I put Matt on the spot and asked, what would he like to ask Copilot? You can see examples of some of my prompts on the side. What's really nice about Copilot is that you're able to return to previous conversations. It is worth noting that memory of you will, of course, live at that account level, but the best information for that particular sort of conversation will live within the thread. So if you are doing a lot of extensive paid media research work, for example, or if you're doing a lot of research, you probably want to stick within the existing thread you've made rather than creating lots of different threads. That said, it also depends on the model because different models are going to do better starting fresh, and other models will do better having that content and context from the previous conversations. All right. So let's see what Copilot will say under Smart. Now, Smart is the default. You'll notice that Smart is going to pull in GPT 5.1. You'll also notice that Think Deeper, Study and Learn, and Search all do slightly different things. So I would actually argue for the part of your prompt around looking to learn and looking to understand music theory, Think Deeper and Study and Learn would probably be better resources for this. And the reason for that is that Study and Learn is where you get those really good step-by-step instructions of how to do something, how to think about something. Think Deeper is
Mm.
really good for those analytical conversations. So, for example, if I'm trying to ask Copilot to process a bit of research or a bit of data that I'm working on from various perspectives, I tend to like to use the Think Deeper version because not only is it really good at pulling in agents at a good time with the at and pulling that in, but also it tends to be in a better it's a better output for those in-depth conversations, whereas Smart is for that quick, I just want a quick answer. So
Yeah.
you'll
That's
notice Search, I came last. Search is grounded in actual web results. So that's where you'll tend to find more Reddit responses, you'll find more forum responses. So if what you care about in your responses are more user generated trust signals from humans like you, Search is actually a really good resource there. Whereas Study and Learn, Think Deeper are going to be more step by step, and then Smart will default to the best parts of all, but again, keeping it more narrow. Um, any questions on that before we hit go and we see what Copilot thinks?
So maybe just if I summarize that, because I think that's a really useful bit of insight. As all of us using different types of LLMs, I'm sure that the model complexity or the options can sometimes it can be hard to understand which one to use for the right thing. The way I interpret what you just said there is like Smart makes sense. That's kind of the best of all cases. The sort of the default doesn't specialize any which way. The Think Deeper and Study and Learn, would one way to put that or to understand which one to use would be if you have all the information and you just need help interpreting it, that's the Think Deeper. But if you don't have all the information and you actually need to go on a bit of a journey to understand something, that's the Study and Learn.
The way I like to put it, Think Deeper is my philosophy classes. I am going to be getting in the weeds with an intellectual equal or potentially an intellectual superior who's going to really probe me. Study and Learn is more like me going to a math class. I'm not very good at math, and that really sweet math teacher helping me find those accessible pathways to think about math or to remember certain patterns and to uh, really honor how I learn best. As I mentioned, Copilot is very, very big on accessibility. I am an audio learner, and so you'll also notice that this is in dark mode. I process information better in dark mode. No judgment on those that prefer light mode. I prefer dark mode. Um, so that's just something to consider as well. So yes, Think Deeper is the philosopher. Study and Learn is the super accessible math teacher. Both are incredibly smart, both are incredibly useful, but they perform different functions. And your instinct is correct. If you have more information and want to get pushed, Think Deeper is great. If you want to truly learn how to do something and have very specific instructions, Study and Learn is great.
Got it.
All
Okay,
right.
that makes sense. And then,
Well,
sorry, I have one more question. You mentioned as well that different models work in different ways when it comes to memory storage. So either going back to previous chats or existing threads. Does that apply to these here? And if so, which of these kind of work better from like a referencing previous chats?
Study and Learn loves long threads because it's helping you iterate on any steps that you might have. Think Deeper, there can come a point where it's not that it breaks, but it may need a refresh on where you are and why you need to go even deeper. So I find, and this is just personal experience, I find that Think Deeper, I need to be as specific and thorough in what I'm thinking about and what I want help about. And it can help out with clarifying questions, but I find that it's not as useful as Study and Learn on the follow-ups and keeping that ongoing conversational memory and usefulness ongoing.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense.
All right. So let's click submit and see what Matt or Navah is going to learn, because this is on my and so again, what's really interesting, and that took all of like 2 seconds because this was on the fastest model. I'm not surprised to see the violin or the viola. I'm super happy to see it. Candidly, I love the violin. But what's really interesting about this is that it's ranking noise factor. And that's a bit of context that we didn't ask about. We did not say that we care about our neighbors dealing with the noise of learning. But Copilot made that inference. You can tell Copilot whether you want it to make those helpful inferences or not. And that will impact the output. So for example, if I have, or if we were to take this prompt again and say, I don't want you to make any inferences about any rankings or weights other than what I have asked for, I don't know that it would come back with noise. We can test it if you like.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I did see it mention practice quietly in the main paragraph before the results came up, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." To then see it as like one of the filters in there is, that's pretty cool.
Now the next thing that you'll enjoy is that it pulls in locations about where you can take advantage of these wonderful classes. So this information, if I were to click on the website, I'm taken straight to that website.
Yep.
Traffic, it's lovely. And then it finishes off with how to choose the right instrument for you and the single best all around. And you'll notice that they're all organic links here. We are on the cusp of transactional intent here, but we haven't shown explicit transactional intent. So I am not surprised that we did not see an ad in this conversation. Now, if I were to follow up and say, I'm pretty sold on the violin and I want to find one that's under 300 new, what are my options? It's thinking, it's piecing together the details, it's checking product catalogs. This is really important. If your feed is not easy to crawl and identify and it's not passing through, you are going to be left out completely from the conversation, like completely. And it's not that Copilot can't identify your website as like, this is an option, but the actual product feeds. So from a shopping intent perspective. So you may have heard about Copilot Checkout. You may have heard about some of the really fun and interesting things happening with brand agents. The key to all of AI commerce is that your feed hygiene is immaculate and that your website is very easy to crawl. Now, tools like Index Now from Bing Webmaster Tools are great because it will actually tell the Bing grounding API and the API is to like, let's check it. Let's make sure that our content is fresh and relevant. Why I bring this up, the Bing grounding API powers most AI agents and most AI assistants. So yes, you may be doing this conversation on Copilot. We can have the conversation about the conversation on Copilot, but that information, that feed hygiene, the work you do here, it translates to other AI assistants as well. But let's take a look at what Copilot came up with. Now, I'm going to throw Copilot under the bus here that we asked for violins and it came up with a cello. And I am going to bet money that the brand that it wanted to serve me didn't have a good feed. And so it came up with something adjacent, but that's not quite adjacent. And we can call out Copilot together and you can see how Copilot will respond. It's actually really fun. But then we have a violin. So it's really interesting that it began with a cello because we were still sort of unsure. But even though I said I wanted a violin, and again, click buy, track price.
And these are still organic results.
These are organic results. Now, if I call out Copilot, this is actually, I think, really useful for users to see because you should call out Copilot. You should tell it when it didn't quite get it right. I said I wanted a violin and you had with a cello. Why? And see? So you're right to call that out. Let's reset cleanly and stay in that territory. So now it's only focusing on violins.
Yep.
But then it like, nope, no cello. You're still listing cellos. This is where you want to be very, very clear and specific. But this is also the smart, or what I would call the kind of quick question result. Now, if we were to go all the way back to the original prompt, so I'm going to start it over in a new chat because I want to give it that opportunity. Do new chat. And we're going to try the think deeper because you're not yet asking for the musical theory itself. You're kind of curious about, in general, what's going on.
Yep.
Let's take a look. So what's really cool about this is that we're getting that breakdown in a grid. And it's very visually easy. I can see exactly what my options are. There's no question at all about pricing, like is it over or under? And so, for example, the electric or silent violin, it got included because it could start at 300, even though it very much exceeds. The digital piano, I'll question whether it was a good one to include. And then, of course, it starts to break down in bullets why they're in general a good fit for New York City life. And you'll see that there are sources linked out of why Copilot is coming up with this. And this is, again, where that Bing grounding API is so incredibly useful. These pages were seen as not only identifiable as relevant to this information, but it was also useful to help guide the conversation for this sort of query. So when we're asking Copilot this question or we're starting this conversation, Copilot in the background is asking a whole series of other questions that it's using either these websites to help cite in sources. And so when it's making a claim, it's grounding it with that link, or it's finding pricing information, which again, any additional links would be at the bottom. So Just scroll to the bottom. Next steps. It knows that I like actionable things, so it's like, don't worry, I got you. Don't yell at me. I definitely have yelled at my poor Copilot before.
That's great.
Uh,
It's so interesting to see the differences. One of my questions is going to be, sorry. One thing that I still find very interesting is the way people use LLMs and the things they're searching.
yeah.
There are naturally, it feels a lot more upper funnel discoverability, understanding type queries than like high level intent. But you can start off with a high level discovery type term and then kind of come through the process to then get to a high intent term. It's similar to what we've done here. I guess what I'm really interested in is, like, as an advertiser, how do you need to really think all that much about the higher level discovery phase when it might be that the system isn't necessarily citing individual brands, advertisers? It's more helping to sort of narrow in on the solutions around the problem you've given it. And it's not until the next level down that really you need to worry about showing up, because at that point it can be more tailored to what someone's looking for.
So I'm going to say something that's probably going to annoy some people. Uh, we have gotten very lazy and comfortable in performance marketing of not having to care about brand and awareness and sentiment at a higher level in those conversations. And one of the things that's really interesting about Copilot is that, and really any AI, like it's not restricted to just Copilot. Um, when you have a conversation with an AI assistant, it is able to take you from inspiration, ideation, all the way down to transaction. It can be as quick as a couple of seconds. It can be a couple of minutes. It depends on the conversation. The thing is, if you're not found for those discovery pieces, like, and you're not grounding the information that the AI assistant can give to the consumer to help them realize that they actually do want something like what you offer, they want specifically what you offer, you're going to be invisible and your competitor will pick up your business. I actually did a LinkedIn post about this. I asked Copilot explicitly for a brand that I love. I swear by this brand. I have given them so much of my money. Copilot was able to give me a really great rundown of sizing and potential pros and cons of different genres for my sweaters. But when it came time to actually buy, thinking back to our original conversation where it showed various products for instruments, it showed me not the brand I asked for, uh, various sweaters. And I said, why are you showing me the brands? I told you I just want this one brand. And it came back to me and said, I don't have access to the catalog, so I can't show you those products, but I can give you a checklist of how to buy. So when I was talking about the feed and feed hygiene being really, really critical, even if you're not actively advertising on Microsoft ads, which it's okay. I mean, we'd love to have you. Like, please consider it. But even if you're not advertising on Microsoft Advertising, I would absolutely make sure that you have your merchant center claimed, because that will give you a free and useful way to manage your feed as you're passing it through into Copilot and other AI assistants. You always want to make sure that you have every one of your merchant centers claimed, regardless of whether it's Microsoft or not. And this is a free thing you can do to make sure that you have your feed hygiene in good order. If your feed is not ingestible, if it's not clear, if it's not understood, your product will not make it into the Copilot conversation. If your website isn't easy to understand, if it's not immediately apparent what it is that you do, you are setting yourself up to just be mischaracterized at best, invisible entirely at worst. We can debate whether one is better or the other, but I would argue being invisible in the conversation is worse. But I'm gonna take us over to Copilot Shopping
Okay,
because
nice.
there's a designated area specifically for shopping, and I think that this will be super, super useful.
Okay.
Let's take a similar query that we were thinking about with instruments. So, um, new instrument for New York City studio. And this is not a good prompt, by the way. But I'm intentionally doing a bad prompt because I want to show what the difference is and how Copilot and AI assistants have to reason. When you talk to a Copilot or any AI assistant, like a search engine, where it's more kind of keyword, individual syntax sort of relationships versus a conversation where it's much harder to really hone in on the specific keywords.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's take a look and see what Copilot comes up with. You'll notice that we're still on Smart, which is the default. It's looking up and gathering information. It's discovering those options, which is going through all the various pages and seeing like what are actual useful solutions to even think about answering the question. I love that, Matt, like your piano instinct is locked in. Like it doesn't matter that you originally said that you couldn't do a big piano. It knows that you want a piano.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually know that you want a piano. It's not sentient, but now
I
if
think.
I were to click buy here, I don't know if you can tell. Well, actually, this is quick moment. This popped up real quick and it popped up in not a useful way. So see how our cookie consent banner is down here and there's no real option to bow out of cookies, but this popped up right away.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where accessibility really matters. You do not want pop-ups like this to come up sooner than 8 seconds after render. There's a metric called cumulative layout shift or CLS. And if this pops up too soon, you actually could set yourself up for failure. Um, Now you'll also notice, actually, I don't know if can you see the
Yeah.
URL string? So this is just an organic link. It'll get reported within analytics as Copilot traffic. Let me just here, and then you could add to cart, and it's the product that was requested.
Got it. Yeah. And again,
That is not an ad. And it's worth noting that Microsoft in general does not serve ads unless it is 100% positive that it's going to benefit the human having the conversation. Only 15% of conversations have actual shopping or transactional intent, and that's where the ads are going to live. So even in a shopping query, like we're being as respectful and mindful as we can that the goal of this is trustworthiness. That if we're presenting you options, these are options that seem like the right fit, not because they paid to be there, but because these genuinely seem like the best fit.
yeah. And that balance right now is fascinating to see how it plays out across the different LLMs, because it feels like there's an obvious tension there where you could ask, well, what does an ad really bring in that instance? Because if organic can do everything in terms of answering that person query, what does the paid ad bring? And it's interesting to see how some other LLMs are. I mean, anecdotally, seeing examples where these ads are coming up very quickly.
I'm going to do a one quick conversation where I have pretty consistently gotten an ad to serve, just to show you where the transactional intent comes in. So what I like is it didn't start searching right away. And there's a funny story behind this. It tried to guess initially, and it thought I was a man because speaker biases. And there's so many men speaking. So of course you were a guy. But it's good that it asked me my gender. Um,
Yeah, it's interesting, actually. Even generally, I don't see it asking qualifying questions, even when I think it should do. Um, it assumes too much. I think the follow up questions adds like a lot of value, which is interesting.
so now it's looking and it's gonna find me some options. And if no ad serves, candidly, it's fine. Um, I'm technically not actually in market to buy things. But let's see what comes up. So we have some nice options. They're kind of cute. Dresses. I don't know that that's a speaker dress, but the Copilot, the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I'm doing something interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. So if there was an ad, it would have been down here.
Okay, got it. And just a single ad?
Just a single ad linking to a search partner. So ads and Copilot serve either from search campaigns, shopping campaigns, multimedia ads, or PMAX.
But all the same inventory, just matched through different campaign types.
Correct.
Got it. And
Now we're constantly looking at exploring other options. So there may be some exciting options coming up. As of this conversation, that the inventory that's been possible since 2024 is possible today.
got it. Okay. And I know you sort of brought up that example, that UTM example for analytics, but can you split out any reporting in the ads platform?
As of now, no. We have heard this feedback. I can't share any firm updates there or ETAs on when that will happen. Any results that came from Copilot are rolled into existing results, so you are seeing the reporting through there, but it's not split out. For what it's worth, because Copilot inventory is going to be so much smaller than a traditional SERP, humans might actually, out of the bias of, oh, this is so small, or oh, this seems like it's weird metrics, I'm going to get rid of it. But that was a really useful customer, or that was someone that built a really meaningful long-term customer value with you. So
Yep.
there's pros and cons to showing people data, but the feedback has been heard. And there's also a privacy component too. So the actual conversations, we don't necessarily want to show people full conversations that led to clicks and conversions because that's potentially getting pretty intimate.
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like there's a few ways that could go, but just given what we've seen traditionally with like low volume, the privacy point, as you mentioned, it's going to be very
I,
interesting to see how it evolves.
I want to be respectful of time, so we're not going to spend as much time on the labs part of Copilot. But I did want to show you this one thing that you should play with on your free time. You access labs by clicking the little experiment beaker lab on the bottom left-hand corner. So Copilot audio expressions, you can ask it to tell you a story. You can ask it to say things in really interesting voices. Like it does a lot of really beautiful things. And in my Pathfinder campaign with my friend, my friend's character unfortunately valiantly passed away to save all of us and made the conscious choice not to be revived. And so I gave the prompt, a very simple prompt of a plant sacrificed herself to save her friends and comes back as a succulent in a snail pot. And co-pilots came up with these magical, beautiful, different stories with different tones for each time. Like I kept cycling through and just getting these different stories. And they were really, really charming and adorable and cute. So As much as there's commerce to be had and learning to be had with Copilot, there's also joy, and just kind of exploring creative expression, not replacing creative expression, but uh, kind of helping to unlock creativity. It's like the labs is uh, a really cool area. It's where we have our cool stuff that we're testing, we're playing, we're figuring it out. Is it going to make it into main Copilot, or are we're not quite? Um, but the Copilot audio expression, if you ever having just a bad day, go into Copilot Labs and ask Copilot audio expression to tell you that you're amazing. And you can go through various voices and it will do that, and it's great.
Okay, I will definitely do that after I purchase a violin, and then I'll chat to Copilot.
There you go.
That's awesome.
You want them over to the strings.
Yes. Okay, cool. If you have like maybe 10 minutes, I'd love to chat more about kind of the marketing workflow side of things, and whether we cover that more broadly or talk about marketing advertising. I'd love just to understand the kind of things you immediately gravitate towards when I sort of mention those topics.
So I would be remiss if I didn't start in our beautiful ad studio. Ad studio will help with changing out creative. It will help with generating creative. It helps with managing your various creatives. You can start to turn static images into video. There's a number of amazing things you can do here. Given that we don't have full time to go into all the details, I'm not going to go in depth into everything. And there's actually a couple of videos coming out from Microsoft going in depth into Ad Studio. So keep a lookout for those. But the main thing I wanted to call out is actually the brand kit. A lot of concern in AI and with AI workflows revolves around, is my brand safe? Like, are you honoring the firm line in the sand? My font is my font, my colors are my colors, images are my images. So this is a very useful place for every marketer to go. Even if you do nothing else with Ad Studio, just making sure that your brand kit is correct. Make sure that your fonts are the fonts that you want. Make sure that if you want bold or not bold, if you want uh, your call to action to always have a very specific certain framing or font, do that. So I would just recommend, this is kind of one of those spots in Microsoft advertising. Go there at least once every 6 months. You don't have to check it regularly, but just making sure that you're agreeing with what's there. The other thing I will call out is the what's it called? The image creation with AI. The reason I want to call this out, we talked a lot in our first section about the prompts and what goes into a prompt. Not everyone is going to come up with the best prompt in the world. And so we have these really helpful prompt engineering buttons. So if you want to talk about a key element of whether it has the vibrant foliage and refreshing, like whether it's in winter or in summer or in spring. If you want to talk about the mood, like what is the mood of the creative that you're trying to go for? Is the composition top down or bird's eye view? And this is really helpful to also understand when you're asking any AI to help you with anything, what are the sorts of very specific details you need to give it? Because if you tell it, it's going to make guesses and then it might not make you happy. We spell out all of those elements here so that you're able to make those images. And by the way, you can take these images with you. You don't have to only run them within Microsoft Advertising. You can take that creative with you via URL link.
That's so useful because I think that's a lot of the stumbling blocks are around like not being able to know where to start with a prompt sometimes. I feel like, especially if it's like net new creative, if you're adjusting creative, it's slightly easier, but stuff that's net new or like heavy editing, like this is super useful to help you understand the kind of, the areas and things that you should mention and be specific about.
And I just want to call out, this is my dummy account. I love Holler jeans. And so I do all my things with color genes. Um, I want to spend a little bit of time talking about Copilot within ad creative within PMAX, but it's worth noting that a lot of these same tools translate also into search ads. Now, Crowd is the lovely, wonderful employer of you, right?
That's correct. Yes.
So I plugged in Crowd just to see what would PMAX come up with. And this is actually a very useful tool to work with your organic teams, your CRO teams, or conversion rate optimization teams. Because if you don't love the images that naturally come up when PMAX campaign creation or asset group creation calls your site, there is a very good chance that the images that you want just aren't readable or accessible. If the language that is naturally coming up is not really what you love, there's a very good chance that like that's the creative that's on your site and your customers are seeing that. So we just want to be very mindful that if you love what's there, celebrate, be happy. But this is a good check to do once a quarter. Just make sure that the PMAX campaign creation tool uh, is backing your creative choices. Now, it's worth noting there's a little pencil icon here. That's our Copilot assistance for finding similar short headlines. So, kind of cycling through different resources, setting a different tone, or doing full on revisions. So, finding similar short headlines, this is where Microsoft is going to kind of own the process. So ignite your business growth instead of unlock your business growth. They're effectively the same thing. It's all the same thing. Empower your growth now, fuel your business growth. It's all effectively the same thing. You could try again and see where is it landing.
Yeah.
Now, if you really don't love that idea, sometimes it could be a persona mapping thing. So you want to try a different tone. So for example, if I'm seeing friendly, so grow together with us, boost your business today, let's grow your success. These are all very welcoming versus persuasive. Achieve success with us, boost your business today, ignite your growth now. So unlock your business growth is probably more than persuasive. For B2B, cute's usually not a good idea. Um, but grow your dreams with us is actually not bad, depending on who you're talking to. Bloom your business today. For a florist, it would be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then finally for full rewrites, and say, uh, unlock is not a useful way to talk about what we do. We help people invest their time and dollars in better ways. I'm totally putting words in there. Do you feel like that's fair or
Yeah. That's pretty good. Let's give that a go.
okay? So maximize your resources, boost your investments now, invest time and money wisely. I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be okay, could not. But this is where Copilot's really helpful is in not only understanding how your or how your site is being understood, but also in making meaningful adjustments to your creative. And it is worth putting proper prompts into the revision. Like this was kind of a throwaway one. But you do want to make sure that you're doing this fairly regularly. It's also worth noting that this is holds for the long headlines and your descriptions.
Yeah.
The
I think
preview. Oh, go ahead.
I just say, I think what I really like about this is it kind of gives you so many options in terms of like the depth you want to edit it. You can either, you could just edit it or you could literally get the suggestions and you've got like different filters for different types of suggestions, or you could go full on
Yeah.
prompt. Like it's so flexible depending on how you work and the level of control or change you want to see. I think what I really like is it's covering off lots of different ways that people might want to work in the platform and use the platform. There are people who may want to still go through each ad or go through a campaign setup, but have the sort of help to speed them up to make changes, make decisions. But they still want that level of control to be able to go in and do that and make the decision themselves. But also you've got, as you go into this chat window on the right, and then maybe you have a conversation with it and it makes a recommendation and you're just happy for it to go and build something. That's also great. So I love that it covers off all bases. And that makes sense because not everybody is going to want to necessarily just talk to Copilot to create campaigns. That's not always going to be the best way to go about that work. So making it flexible, depending on how people work, I think is very valuable.
So I know we covered a ton. If I could sum up all of Copilot in just one sentence, it's AI in service of humanity. If I had a paragraph, it would be accessibility and security all coming together to ensure that you're getting the information that you need, the resources that you need to connect with the things that you need and want to live your best life. AI is not a replacement for your work. AI is not a replacement for your critical thinking, your creativity. AI is in service of all of the various tools and tasks that you might do. And it's worth noting we did not cover agents. We did not cover vibe coding. Like there's a whole other world out there that's even grander. But I did want to make sure that from the kind of an introduction to Copilot and like what is Copilot and why is Copilot awesome? The various ways of talking to Copilot is useful to think about. And I'll stop sharing because at this point we're kind of monologuing. The various ways of interacting with Copilot is useful. The workflow within Microsoft is useful. Then also it is good to kind of vibe check your website. Like, is your website findable? Is your feed understandable?
Yep. I don't want to add anything to that just because I think that's a great place to end. I'm going to go and look at how much violins are, and I'll let you know how that goes. But this is great, really useful, a really interesting deep dive. So thank you, Navah. Really appreciate it.
Always happy to share. Cheers, Matt.